Okay, for section 9.2 we're going to be talking about area and volume. So we're going to work with some similar ideas that we did with the length measures in the first section of chapter 9 here. But we're going to talk about first what is a square unit. Okay, a square unit is a square whose each side is 1 unit in length. So this is 1 square unit because it's a 1 by 1 square. Okay, if we put actual units on it that we use in real life, like inches, if we have a 1 inch by 1 inch square, then we say that this is 1 square inch. Similar with centimeters, if we measure a centimeter on each side of a square, okay, that amount of area taken up by that square is what we call 1 square centimeter. Okay. So we might ask then, if this is a square unit, then what is the area of this region? Well, at that point, we're just going to count squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We can say that's 12 square units. Okay. Okay. So similarly, if we look at 1 foot squared, okay, 1 square foot, okay, if we were to break that apart on each side into 12 by 12 inches, okay, it would be 12 by 12, which would be 144 square inches, and therefore 1 foot squared is the same as 144 inches squared. So there's going to be a bunch of conversions here that you don't need to have memorized, okay, and this is one of them. 1 foot squared equals 144 feet squared. We can do similar with yards and feet. If we know we have a yard on each side, that's 3 feet, same thing. So 3 times 3 would be 9, and so we say 1 square yard is equal to 9 feet squared. Okay. So here are some general conversions for the English system. We already just established these two. Okay, we also have what we call acres. We use acres a lot in real estate, and 1 acre is equal to either 43,560 square feet, okay, or 4,840 square yards. Okay. And if we have a square mile, okay, a mile on each side, if we make a square that's a mile in each direction, okay, that equals 640 acres. So it takes 640 acres to get a square mile. Okay. So, a couple of questions that we want to answer here. The first one is about population density. So population density means people over area. Okay, and the units are generally something like this: people per square mile. That's population density. So if they give us the population and they give us the area, and then we just need to divide those two, and that gives us the population density. So if we were to divide those two, it turns out to be 5.3 in this case for the state. Okay, so we say their population density is 5.3 people per square mile. And again, the units are the giveaway to what we want to do with the two numbers here. Okay, population density is always going to be in some form of people per square mile, square foot, square yard, square meter, whatever it may be. Okay. So let's talk about going from English to metric in terms of area. Okay, 1 square inch is the same as 6.5 square centimeters, okay, and so on. And again, you don't have to have all these memorized. We just need to be able to use them. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and use those in the next slide. Okay. We have here a property in Italy. It's advertised at $545,000 for 6.8 hectares, and we want to find the property in acres. Okay. So like we learned in the last part here, if we look at what we want to convert, if we write down 6.8 hectares, okay, we start with hectares on top, of course, and we want the hectares to be gone, so we're going to put hectares on the bottom, and we're going to bring in acres. Okay. Now, the units, okay, lead us to what to do. If hectares is on top and we want to get rid of them, then we need to put hectares on the bottom and bring in something that we want, which is acres. Now, we can do that directly because we know from the previous slide that 1 acre is 0.4 hectares. So therefore, if we put our 0.4 hectares in our 1 acre, okay, and then we're almost home free, we just have 1 unit left, which is acres. That's exactly what we wanted. So 6.8 times 1, 1 times 0.4, and then if we do the division last, okay, it turns out to be the same as 17 acres in this case. All right. And then the other question that we want to ask here is, what was the price per acre? They told us the price was $545,000. We know that there's 17 acres, so if I go dollars per acre, that means dollars divided by. Anytime it's per, it's divided by. So if I divide those two, it turns out to be $32,059 per acre. Okay. All right. Now we can also do very similar with measuring volume. Okay, volume refers to the amount of space occupied by a 3-dimensional figure. So instead of a square, we have a cube. So if we have a 1 by 1 by 1 in terms of inches or centimeters, okay, that amount of space taken up by that 3-dimensional figure is what we call a cubic inch. Okay, in this case, a cubic centimeter. There are some conversions, of course, here as well. Cubic foot is the same as 1,728 cubic inches. A cubic yard is the same as 27 cubic feet. Okay. So, if we look at the volume of this solid, okay, looking at this picture right here, okay, knowing this is 1 cubic unit if we count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then in the second row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, even though we can't see it, another 6, and then another 6 in the back. Okay, it turns out to be 18 cubic units. So they kind of visualize that here, being able to see the ones in the back that we can't actually see when we draw it in 3 dimensions. Okay, but ultimately we're counting how many cubic units make up that particular shape. Alright, so the other thing that we're going to do conversions with is what we call capacity, the amount of fluid, okay, that a 3-dimensional object can hold. That's capacity. Okay, we have 1 cup is 8 ounces, 4 quarts in a gallon, 1 gallon is 128 ounces. Okay, cubic units related to 1 cubic yard is about 200 gallons, cubic foot is about 7.48 gallons, and 231 cubic inches is about a gallon. So again, don't have to have these memorized, just need to be able to use them to make conversions. So in this case, we're talking about a swimming pool. It has 22,500 cubic feet, and we want to know how many gallons does that hold. So once again, we're going to start with our 22,500 cubic feet, whatever we're given. We want to have cubic feet gone, so we're going to put that on the bottom, and we're going to bring in gallons. And on the previous slide, it said 7.48 gallons per 1 cubic foot. So with that said, we have ones on the bottom, and we have 7.48 and 22,500 on top. And so if we multiply those two together, we get 168,300 gallons. Okay, that's how much water that pool will hold. Okay, we have units of capacity in the metric system next. Okay, very similar to what we did with meters. Okay, same prefixes, notice. Okay, 1 liter, which is about 1.06 quarts. Okay, we have deciliter, hectoliter, kiloliter, and of course deciliter, centiliter, and milliliter. So exactly the same amounts and prefixes that we had for the lengths that we've dealt with. So that is nothing new. So when we're dealing with the metric system, we'll convert the same way. A couple of other conversions here. Again, these don't need to be memorized, but we have some conversions between centimeters cubed and milliliters. Okay, decimeters cubed and liters, meters cubed and kiloliters. Okay, and you'll notice that those are all in essentially a 1-to-1 relationship. Okay. So with that said, it says we have 36,000 cubic centimeters, and we want to change that to liters. Okay, so if we want to get rid of 30 of the cubic centimeters, we're going to of course put that on the bottom. Okay, we do have a relationship between cubic centimeters and liters. On the previous slide, it was 1 liter to 1,000 cubic centimeters. So that means cubic centimeters are gone, liters are in, and that's exactly what we wanted, is liters. So when we get done, we'll have 36,000 on top, 1,000 on the bottom. Divide those two, and we get 36 liters. Okay. So you notice the converting is almost the same as what we did with lengths. Okay, we're just using some different units for capacity and volume.